Hey, what's up guys? I hope you're all doing well. I just looked at all the patch notes, watched the video, did some theory crafting, and I think this patch is going to be amazing. It's going to certainly change the entire meta. Now, there are some cool changes we're going to talk about. We're going to look at all the new potential archetypes, the new cards that have been introduced, and yeah, before we get started, just my general opinion. There is definitely going to be an increased amount of players playing Square Tile hand buff. Torque is now being changed to always start in your starting hand, no matter if you have neutrals or not. So basically there are a bunch of cards that boost cards in your hand that are non-devotion that we can now include, basically. So Square Tile Symbiosis is also going to be seen, I think. There's a change to Ethne and Fricks in it, which makes it more viable. Other than that, the two major changes is going to be Nilfgaard and Syndicate. Nilfgaard, we're going to see a spy archetype, along with soldiers most likely. So you're going to see a lot of people play that day one, and you want to look out for that. The other one is Syndicate. Syndicate has now changed to the poison faction. Don't ask me why, but we have a bunch of cards changed to poison cards. You can poison yourself, you can poison your opponent. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, it's so insane. I want to see how powerful this is going to be. And a Syndicate mirror match is just going to be absolutely insane. So other than that, let's get to it. This video will likely be about an hour long. It's just me going through every patch note and showing you the changes before and after. If you don't want to read them yourself, if you do, I'll leave the link below and you can check them out. Yennefer Illusionist. Spawn Yennefer's Illusion on this row. The first time you spawn a unit on your side of the battlefield each turn, damage the lowest power enemy unit by the spawned unit's base power. Death Blow boosts out by 1. Okay, so we're gonna have to know what Yennefer's Illusion means. Wow, we got a new card. Look at that. Okay. Doomed. When this unit takes damage, destroy self. Okay, well that's intense. Damage the lowest power enemy unit by the spawned unit's base power. The first time you spawn a unit on your side of the battlefield each turn. Okay, so we're only gonna get one Yennefer's Illusion. And the rest is going to have to happen via cards we already have in the deck. I mean, you're going to have like a Gurney deck, right? You're just going to spawn fruit at the minimum. Okay, Triss Meteor Shower. Melee. Damage all units on an enemy row by half their base power. Excuse me. Range. Boost all allied units on a row by half their base power. That is absolutely insane. So what, you just build a very chunky deck with very big units, monsters. So you have griffins, you have Mamuna getting another griffin out of the graveyard, you have Gankayens, you have anything else that goes really. Maybe a little Igern in there, how about a Ratcatcherus that keeps growing? And then you play Triss Meteor Shower, guaranteed boosts. Yerden wants to know your location. Brand new cards for Triss and Yennefer with it. On top of that, it brings some adjustments to neutral and faction cards alike. Check out our latest developer update. We did. Okay, new features. What are those? So Triss Meteor Shower will have 3 power, 12 provision cost. On the melee row, it will damage all units on an enemy row by half their base power. Range row will boost all allied units on a row by half of their base power. Again, that's going to be pretty strong in monsters, I want to say, but it can also be detrimental against monsters. The other unit would be a Yennefer Illusionist. So, Yennefer Illusionist, Human Mage. 4 power, 12 provision cost. Deploy. Spawn Yennefer's Illusion on this row. The first time you spawn a unit on your side of the battlefield each turn, damage the lowest power enemy unit by the spawned unit's base power. Death Blow boosts self by 1. So obviously the bigger cards you can spawn the better, because that's just going to kill cards constantly and you're going to boost Yennefer as well. That's not at all a bad idea. You'd have to find a deck that spawns the biggest cards. I still think Syndicate is a valid option, I'm going to be honest. If you can use Hal V to spawn big cards, you're in a very good position. I mean, most of Hal V's targets are like 4-point cards anyway. The Yennefer's Illusion is a human mage token, 4 power, doomed. When it takes damage, destroy self. So that probably won't last very long. Okay, so now for the big changes that everybody has been waiting for. We've got Erendite. So, now Erendite will not be a 9 provision card. It will in fact be a 10 provision card. This is great because now this card cannot be played in Golden Kicker decks, which was the main problem, right? Because of Golden Kicker, which allows you to only input cards in the deck that's 9 and under. Now you can't simply play your Erendite as well. You're gonna have to choose what you want. Is Erendite strong enough to not have Golden Kicker, or is Golden Kicker stronger than Erendite? At least CDPR listened to us. I'm very happy with that. Yeah, pretty happy. I am pretty happy with that change. Next up, we have the Enraged Ifrit. Let's take a look at that. Enraged Ifrit. Haven't played this card in forever, seeing that it's not even premiumed. So currently the Enraged Ifrit damages an enemy unit by 4. The card art is pretty cool. Now the power will be changed from 4 to 5, and damage from the deployed changed from 4 to 5. So it's going to be a 10 for 10, but it's going to be able to do 5 points of damage right off the bat. I mean, it's not bad, but for 10 provisions, I doubt you ever add this to your deck. I mean, 10 provisions is a lot, right? You can get quite a bit for 10 provisions. Let's just see your options here, right? You've got Witch's Sabbath, you've got Mushy Truffle, you've got Yankal Veit, you've got Eridan Break the Glass, you've got Melusine, you've got a bunch of cards here that will probably play for way more points than just 10, I want to say, Morkvarg. So, it's a good start for Enraged Ifrit, but I don't think anybody will add it unless it's for the memes. Next up we have Francis Bedlam. Francis Bedlam. Okay, I haven't seen this card in forever either. Another neutral. Every allied turn on turn end boosts the lowest unit in your hand by 1. I remember playing this actually. Back in the day, like way back in the day. This used to be one of my favorite cards. Damn. I can't even recall when I did it, but it was so nice to have this. Because it was one of the only hand buff cards I knew of. So what was fun is, as a beginner, nobody else knew what it did. And when you put it on the board, they never perceived it as a threat. So it just kept on boosting cards in your hand and they had no idea how strong your hand was. This brings back memories, man. Okay, so what happens now? Power change from 4 to 6. I forgot this card existed. You can play this in a hand buff deck, but you won't be able to play Torque because of the devotion, right? But this is a very solid hand buff card. If you can have it at 6, I can see this being included in some decks. It really depends which decks. If you're able to get a hand buff deck that doesn't include Torque, perhaps. The Torque changes? Oh gosh, no spoilers, chat. Wait, let me see what's next. So, next is Ornate Censor. Okay, so I recently played a deck that somebody made with Ornate Censor. It's unbelievably strong, because you essentially swap the power of the highest and the lowest units on the battlefield. You probably have a 1-point card, they have a 30-point card, that's 29 points, gone from their side, added to your side. That gives you 58 points. So it made for massive point swings. But yeah, they're changing it to 9 provisions now. It's a small step. Honestly, you can still include this card. It doesn't change much. Okay, what's next? Triss butterflies. Here we go. So currently Triss butterflies boost a random unit in your hand by 4. So it plays for 9, and it is 9. So it's alright. It's not great. Hey Mulsini. So now it's going to be changed to power change from 5 to 4. Okay. Ability change to deploy ranged. Shuffle a card from your hand into your deck, then draw a unit of your choice and boost it by 3. Alright. So basically Triss is going to allow you to draw any card from your deck and boost it by 3. So you have the potential to protect some cards by doing that, and you also have access to them. There are only so many cards that allows you to draw one directly, right? I mean, if you think about this, this is very much like Royal Decree. I mean, let's compare it to Royal Decree now that I think about it. Play a unit from your deck. So this just gives you any unit from your deck. And what does Triss do? She will now be able to draw a unit and boost it by 3. That's not too shabby. That's not too shabby. The thing is just you won't be able to play it immediately. So she'll just play for 4 points and then you'll be able to play it. Whereas Royal Decree basically exchanges for that card directly. So she'll still play for a 4-point card, but then you'll have the card you want in your deck. It will really depend on the deck you're playing, I think. She's going to be a bit slow tempo for some. Sheldon Skaggs, oh for sure. I'm thinking a lot of these cards can go into a hand buff deck. Alright, what's next? Next up we have monsters. Okay, so monsters are getting some love today. I'm quite happy to hear that. I haven't seen any frost recently. So firstly we've got Oberon. Oberon power change from 5 to 6. That is all. Not a massive difference because, I mean, your tallest removal is normally something like 6. So you can use Parasite on it, or you can use Horizon, or whatever. So 6 points, you know, it goes with Delirium, it goes with Giga Scorpion and Coction. If they made it 7, it would be a different story. It's a good start. Can't complain, right? Can't complain. Next we have Gales. Gales. There we go. So, currently Gales, play a Wild Hunt special card from your deck. That's a pretty good card, there's nothing really wrong with it. Now it's deploy, play a Wild Hunt special from your deck. Devotion, play a Wild Hunt card from your deck instead. Okay. So essentially, I heard a noise.
TheaBe Hugers TheaBe Hey.
Did that go off on its own? It did! They fixed it. Oh, I asked the guy in here to help me and he actually managed to fix it. Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you, Early Andy. Your sub is going to be my favorite one today. Okay, so normally when we have Gales, which we always do, Gales will be able to play something like Ardgaiath, which is a Wild Hunt card. You'll be able to play Naglfar. Honestly, I never had a problem with him, really. He basically never bricked. But now if you have a devotion deck like the one I do, you'll be able to use it almost like a Royal Decree. You'll be able to play any Wild Hunt card, ranging from Oberon King to Eridan Break the Glass. And Naglfar doesn't even allow you to do that. It just gives you the option of a gold randomly. So honestly, Gales would be a must include at this point. Gales would give you the option of simply drawing any card you need. So that's huge. That's pretty huge. And normally you want Devotion anyway if you're going to play Frost decks because of... oh, did they change this? What was normally Devotion related? Why am I confusing this with Unseen Elder? Okay, well, at least you get Oberon Conqueror if you're able to use the Devotion deck. Yeah, there you go, the Queen. Once both players have passed, boost out by 2 for each turn of Frost remaining on the opponent's side. I've been playing this list for so many months now. I'm, like, trapped in time. I can't recall in which meta we are, and the cards keep changing. I've been playing this deck for years, and every time I have to relearn what some of the cards do. Okay, so I actually love that for Gales. That's awesome. That's perhaps the best change I've seen so far today. That makes for some extreme consistency in this deck, if you're able to pull Gales, that is. Okay, next we're off to Skellige. So we start with Harold. So we've got Harold Uncrate, Harold Warmonger, and Harold the Cripple. All the power is changed from 5 to 6. Okay, so they seem to be going for the same change across factions. The card that evolves is going to change from 5 to 6. Again, I'm still of the opinion that doesn't really matter, because if you removed it, you would have removed it with a 6-point card anyway, right? You wouldn't remove it with a 4-point removal card like Natural Selection or Tourney Joust. You'd use Parasite, Giga Scorpion Decoction, etc. But it's cool. It means they're not seeing enough of these cards in the current meta, which is true, and they'd like to see more of it. So I'm a fan of that. Also, they are sort of... At one point, they're like trying to boost neutrals, and at the other point, they're sort of trying to get you to play cards that you want to play without neutrals. So it's quite interesting the way they're going about it. Then we have Sigvald changing. Again, Sigvald is strong. I wouldn't say broken. Not currently. And what they now did was they changed provision cost from 7 to 8. So, in my opinion, this card isn't going anywhere. I mean, it's still the same card. If you want to play this combo, you're going to play it no matter the cost. Interestingly enough, they did find it strong enough to want to make it an 8 provision card, which is fair. If they made it any more than that, I don't think people would necessarily include it in their decks. He avoids frosting both rows all game, then just jams Art Loss and she pops out and boosts. It's cool. There is some new player in rank 22 playing a 30-point Winter Queen finisher. Oh, a new player. I love hearing new players trying new things. You really have to get creative when it comes to your lack of resources. They often come up with the best ideas. Okay, so we've got Sigvald, and then next we have Northern Realms. So I have a feeling we're going to see the same change, right? We're going to see Varax's King going to... wait, Varax's King is already a 6. Oh. Power change from 6 to 7. Now that's very different. Okay, well, firstly, why is this card 6 and all the others are 5? So they're actually changing this one to 7. It's getting special treatment. So you can't remove the card now unless you're playing something like really great, like Horsun Jr. or simply a Heatwave. I guess you don't really care about removing it anyway. The only reason you use Varaxis is to play a card's order ability again, and you probably won't put it on the range row for formation because you're just asking for it to get removed. Interesting. I wouldn't have boosted this card at all, but I guess there's a very peculiar reason for them doing that. Is that King Balahoon in the background I'm seeing? I love how you can turn this and actually look. Wait, who is that? Is that King Balahoon or am I going mad? Any lore people in the chat? Yeah? Looks like King Balahoon. Look at that little cap. It's totally King Balahoon. He's got the same cap and everything. We see you, King Balahoon. We see you. Okay. So this is getting increased to 7. Very interesting. Next up, we've got Traveling Priestess. Yes, I'm very happy with this little nerf. I'm not even going to transmute it. I hate this card so much. Normally I would, but not today. So normally it will gain 0 charges, and then every time you put it back in your deck, it gets 3 charges. So people do that all the time, and eventually you have a card with like 21 charges, which is rather hectic. And that gets doubled if you play it on Trident Infantry. So now, instead of giving it 3 charges every time it goes back into the deck, it will get 2. That makes a significant difference, right? So you would have had 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 if you had put it back 7 times. So now if you put it back 7 times, it goes from 21 to 14. Which doesn't necessarily sound so significant, that 7-point difference, but if you include Trident Infantry, that's a 14-point difference, and at the end of the day, that makes a difference. So I'm glad CDPR didn't exactly nuke the card. It still does what it's supposed to do, just not as overkill. You can't just have last say and win with this card necessarily. I quite like that. So the starting charges change from 0 to 1. Okay, so it will have an automatic 1-point charge. Interesting. Yeah. Good job. Good job, CDPR. I agree with that one. Okay. Next up, we have Squirtle. Squirtle Symbiosis updated the tooltip to include non-unit sources of Symbiosis. Okay. Good, I guess. And then we have Ethne. Okay, what's happening here? Ethne. Gonna be a 7? A 10? I mean, Burja, the favoritism, it's so in your face. We know you like Squirtle, but every other faction gets 1, and this one gets 4, and it's already on 6? Wait, what? So, Wrath of the Broccolon only. Okay, so if you get it all the way to the 3rd form, meaning, again, they're encouraging you to have no neutrals in your deck, this will be a 10-point card. Ability change to immunity instead of Veil. Immunity beats Veil, just so you guys know, all the beginners watching this. Symbiosis 3. Okay, but it won't spawn 2 young dryads. Interesting. Interesting. So what does this mean? Normally you would spawn 2 young dryads. A young dryad has Symbiosis. Every card that has Symbiosis gives you 1 extra point every time you play a nature card, right? That's how it works. So with young dryads, you'd normally have 3 Symbiosis with this card alone. Now they're like, well, everybody just kills the young dryads, obviously. Why don't we just leave them be? We put the 4 points you would have gotten with young dryads into the 6. We give it immunity, so you literally can't touch the card directly. You're gonna have to either Curse of Corruption, or you're going to have to somehow Ignite or whatever. And you get the Symbiosis. There you get a solid 3 Symbiosis. It doesn't fill up board space. That's super interesting. I wonder why they went with that decision, because that's a very specific change to make. What went on behind the scenes for them to decide that they would rather protect the Symbiosis into 1 card? Angry Mom? The first 2 forms are the same, but the 3rd one is very angry mama. CDPR wants to buff Glorious Hunt. This is interesting. We have to play this just for the sake of playing it, because I want to see the effect it will have. It's partially lore based. Easy predatory dive. Well, we know Predatory Dive doesn't really exist, right? Nobody plays Predatory Dive. Psh. It never happens. Okay, so next up is Frixinate. So currently it will boost a Dryad in your hand by 2. Or it will spawn a young Dryad in the row. If you have Devotion, which we will have, you use both abilities. Okay, so power change from 6 to 5. Ability change to Zeal. Order. Ranged. Spawn a young Dryad on this row. Cooldown 4. There we go. There we go. So they want to have more board space for cards like these to have their full potential. Devotion. At the end of your turn, lower the cooldown by the duration of Vitality on self. Oh. So you just give this card like... Wait. You just play Shaping Nature on this. Give it Vitality 5. And then every other turn this card will basically spawn a Dryad. Interesting. Not bad at all. Next up we have Torque, which is probably the biggest change there is. So the idea is that every time this card gets boosted, it will boost a random card in your hand as well. Now, this card will always start in your hand. You don't have to have Devotion. So you're going to be playing every single neutral card in existence in order to do hand buffs. That's going to be pretty insane. This has so much potential now. My gosh. We can play King Balahoon for starters. Interesting. Not even nature. Literally leader and a caress is enough. Exactly. Exactly. That's just one of the cards that immediately popped into my mind. But there are so many ways to manipulate it. Because remember, Ethray doesn't even need leader anymore to protect the Dryad kids. Exactly. Exactly. That's insane. Mods doing mods work. Thank you, my mod friends. Alright, so next up is Farseer. Well, I think one of the first decks we'll be making is a solid Symbiosis deck. And then we have to do a full-on hand buff deck as well. Oh, I haven't seen this card in ages. Ranged. Reveal a random card from your deck. If it's a special card, boost south by 3. So now, power change from 4 to 5. Provision cost change from 4 to 5. Ability change to deploy. Boost an unboosted unit in your hand by the number of boosted units in your hand. Another hand buff card. Okay, so the only way this can go very badly is if every card in your hand is buffed. I like this. My gosh, this is so strong. For 5 provisions, it's a 5-point card that will for sure boost one of the cards in your hand by a bunch. Again, it's going to be difficult to determine exactly when to play this because with Torque, the boosts are super random. Yeah, you can full leader Invigorate and boost everything except for Torque, then use this for Torque after. Yes, Baron, yes. You're so correct. Oh my gosh. That's insane. That's insane. Okay, we are making a hand buff deck today, and we'll be playing it first thing the patch comes out. Do you guys know when the patch will be live? I haven't been keeping up to date with the exact date. You can also spawn these from Harvest. Yes. Yes, you can. Bountiful Harvest. Okay, so that's amazing. Then we have the Oak Critters. Oh, critters. Bleeding amount changed from 3 to 4. I've never noticed the amount of little guys sitting on that guy over there in the background. This is adorable. He's just chewing on that finger. They especially like to chew on fingers, which to them are just like juicy carrots. Yeah, I didn't need to know that, but alright. Nilfgaard. Fergus. Var Imris. Okay, Fergus, what do you do now? Provision cost change from 7 to 6. Give an enemy unit spying. Devotion. Give 3 enemy units spying instead. Okay, so it's more affordable essentially. I'm happy with that. Next up we have the Usurper Emperor. So another card that works with a lot of spying. Power change from 6 to 5. Okay, so what have we gone through today? Monsters got a 1-point buff. Alright, it went to 6. Skellige got a 1-point buff. It went to 6. Northern Realms got a 1-point buff. It went to 7, which is favoritism. Squirtle got, what, a 4-point buff. Went to 10. And Nilfgaard gets a 1-point nerf. It goes to 5. I mean, you love to see it. I wish I could sit in on one of the meetings where CDPR is discussing the changes and be like, yeah, screw Nilfgaard. Ability change to deploy. Spawn an operative on each enemy row and give them spying. Okay, so that's going to be the Emperor. It does that anyway, right? Zeal Order. Sees all spying operatives. Whenever a enemy unit gains spying, boosts out by 1. Okay, so essentially all that changed as far as I can tell. Normally whenever you play an agent, it boosts itself by 1. So that's any card you place on your opponent's side of the board. Now whenever an enemy unit gains spying, boosts itself by 1. Which is essentially what the aristocrats are already doing. And they're pretty strong engines. So the aristocrat that does that pretty much exactly is Seditious Aristocrats. Whenever an enemy unit gains spying, boosts itself by 1. And then you also have the Thirsty Dame, which any status will trigger her. So they're bringing back statuses. That's interesting. I'd love to see that more because it's been a long time. It was pretty much shamed into oblivion by Reddit, and now nobody has the guts to play it anymore. Usurper's also a 7 on deploy. He is a 7. It's a 1-point buff with the new ability though. Aristocrats, aristocrats. I do not understand why it's a 7. Do you mean because of what it does? Spawn an operative in an enemy row and give it spying. Because it spawns 2 spies? Yeah, I know that. So it boosts by 2. Yeah, I know. But I'm not taking that into account because I feel like that's just what it does. It's the same as saying, yeah, well, the Northern Realms Varaxis King will basically give your card an order ability again, which will give Anzi's 5 points. You know, so I'm actually just looking at the base power of the card, ignoring what it does. Doesn't say officer or general change from 6 to 5. So it says Usurper Emperor power change from 6 to 5. So it's only the Emperor. It would be broken otherwise. No, it certainly makes sense. No, I agree with the changes. I just find it very funny how it's worded. Alright, what's next? We've got the Usurper Emperor is now 5. And we're definitely going to see spies being a thing again. And I kind of like that. Next is the Impera Enforcers. Alright, Impera Enforcers. Oh, did we misspell something? Of course it's with an E, Tia. Silly. Armor changed from 0 to 1. Has new part of ability. Death Blow. Gain armor. Yeah, we're gonna see soldier spies being a thing. This is gonna be strong. I won't be making the deck, but I'm sure somebody else will. Damage an enemy unit by 1. Charge 1. Whenever an enemy unit gains spying, gain 1 charge. So normally we'd obviously get rid of these cards as quickly as possible. Now they start off with 1 armor, so you would have to remove it with a 5-point damage. Every time you kill a card, it gains another point of armor. So these are going to be pretty much indestructible if you don't get rid of them immediately. Huh. We're obviously going to use that with something like Ramon. Play a base copy of a bronze soldier from your hand, give it 2 armor, right? So we'll have plenty of those. Alright, so far we've got handbuffs being a thing again, Symbiosis being a thing again, as well as statuses, or just plain out spying in Nilfgaard. That's going to be fun. Next, we've got Syndicate off the books. So, a lot of people have been playing this list, especially in the competitive scene. Off the books, I wouldn't say off the books is broken, in all honesty. I mean, I've played this deck quite a bit myself, and played against it. It isn't unbeatable. It's a pretty solid deck. You really don't win every single time. But I guess they decided people are playing this leader ability a bit too much. So normally this would give you 15 provisions. Now it will only give you 14. So it's a 1 provision nerf. That's fair. Okay, other than that, we see a change here with Fallen Rayla. Something I haven't seen in ages. Love it. Okay. So what does Fallen Rayla do again? Profit 3. Tribute 3, gain Veil, making it basically untouchable, unless Vincent is a thing, which it will be because of spying. Adrenaline 5, whenever you pay a tribute ability, boost self by that tribute's cost. So that's pretty much insane because of the tribute abilities we have in store. So Fallen Rayla, power change from 5 to 6, provision cost change from 11 to 12, ability change to Veil. Okay, so you've got a guaranteed Veil. You've got Profit 3, Tribute 3, remove poison from an allied unit, then boost self by 5. Whenever your opponent plays a unit, poison it, and remove a counter. When the counter reaches 0, the tribute becomes a fee. Counter 2. Okay, whoa. Okay, so it's not a tribute card anymore. Okay, so you can straight up remove poison from an allied unit, boost self by 5. What's going to go hand in hand with that is going to be the Blaneham brother everybody has been playing. So you'll be able to use him a little bit more if you run out of cards. So basically you have an endless supply of boosting yourself by 5. But what interests me most is that whenever your opponent plays a unit, poison it. What? Straight up poison every single card your opponent plays? So what you're telling me is we're gonna want this Blaneham brother as well? Whenever a unit gains poison, gain 2 coins? What? Poison it. So you're gonna have a bunch of poison cards in your deck and just poison things. Okay, so people are telling me I first have to go down. Okay, so we'll go through them a bit by bit, fine. When your opponent plays a unit, poison it, remove a counter. There's 2 counters, so 1 card, 2 card. When the counter reaches 0, the tribute becomes a fee, meaning that you can now use the tribute ability whenever you want to, as long as you have 3 coins. 3 coins will translate into 5 points, so it's going to be 3 coins for 5 points. So normally you have, the most you have is 1 coin for 2 points, 2 coins for 4 points, 3 coins for 6 points. So it's not the most ideal way to double your coin value if you have basic cards like Philippa, or if you have cards like Eternal Fire Disciple, which directly translates from 1 coin to 2 points. But it's still out there. It's pretty much on par with everything, especially if you don't have a spender. Okay, either way, that's very interesting. Let's go on to the next card. Hey Ish, how are you doing? I've been getting into Gwent more lately. Found you on YouTube, very helpful. Ah, thanks Lemon Dust, I appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying Gwent. Do I like Fallen Rayla? I do now. She can poison, it's just 2 units, right. Why? Remove poison from an allied unit and boost out by 5. Whenever your opponent plays a unit, poison it and remove a counter. When the counter reaches 0, the tribute becomes a fee. I don't quite understand. So you're saying that when the counter reaches 0, it's supposed to stop working? But you can just reinitiate it then technically by paying the fee? Did they explain it in the video? Because I think the wording is putting me off. She's an 11 that unpoisons your dude. Just lurking and chilling, got an interview in less than 30 minutes. Oh, that's no problem, Ish. Good luck. Then she poisons 2 enemies. Okay, well, we'll check her out the moment we can actually play her. Next up, we have Gellert Bleinheim, which is going to be this one everybody's playing currently. I mean, honestly, if you can poison 2 enemy units, that's still amazingly strong. I mean, you just get rid of the biggest card on the board. It's quite interesting. So, ability change to profit 2, immunity, that's huge. Fee 1. Poison an allied unit and boost it by 2. Cooldown 1. Adrenaline 5 at the end of your turn, purify self. Okay. So it does exactly what it does now with a cooldown. So you'll never be able to misuse this card again. Abuse, I think, is the correct English term. So normally you'd have to try and play it before you reach Adrenaline 5, so you can just spawn poison on all of your cards. Now you'll only be able to play it once every turn, but you can play it as early as possible, and it's probably guaranteed not to get killed, whereas now when it reaches Adrenaline 5, it has the same danger, essentially, of being killed that it normally had. Because people will try and play it right before Adrenaline 5, get all of its value out in once, because it will likely die, and then it dies. Now it will just stay on the board for as long as you need it to, until it reaches Adrenaline 5, and then it can possibly be killed by your enemy. It's not bad at all, I'd say. I mean, it's pretty solid still. Now it's not a point slam card, it's more of a solid engine that keeps on doing its thing. And also it will work with Black Rayla, so it's an interesting change. I'm alright with that. Then Rayla steps in. Exactly. Okay, next up is Failed Experiment. That's the 10-point card, isn't it? Yeah, 10-point card, Failed Experiment. Power change from 10 to 6. Provision cost change from 5 to 4. Ability change to deploy Poison Self. Poison Self, fee 3, move poison from self to a unit. So you're telling me I can use this to poison my enemy's units as much as I'd like by paying 3 coins? You're telling me I don't even need Fallen Rayla. I can just play this card and keep on poisoning my opponent's units. Is this the new Nilfgaard? Did I miss something? Is Syndicate the new Nilfgaard? Damn, how are we gonna prevent our cards from getting poisoned? We're gonna need purifiers again in our decks. We're gonna have to be able to get rid of these engines really quickly. Huh. New Veil meta, hell yeah. How about Salamandra? Well, Salamander, the little boy. The little lizard boy. Yeah. Okay, next up is Hysteria, which is the bounty card, yeah. So Hysteria, provision cost changed from 5 to 4. Okay, so people weren't playing it enough. Makes sense. Okay, well, take into account that that now changes the shady vendor, right? So if you play this on the melee row, you now have the option of drawing Hysteria, which you only would have gotten if you played it on the range row. Also, it decreases the card pool for the 5 provisions, meaning you now have a better shot of drawing Eavesdrop if you have Bricked, Payday if you need to get rid of a chunky card. And what else is there? Okay, you've also got Confession Extractor, which isn't exactly the best one to get. You have Purge, also not amazing, and you have Stolen Mutagen. But it will still be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have a 2 out of 5 chance to get the cards you'd like if these are what you're going for. It makes a difference. It surely makes a difference. It decreases RNG when you're gonna play it in the range row. Will I play VR game tomorrow? When is the patch coming out? Does anybody know? Is it tomorrow or the day thereafter? "12 hours left." I don't know what that means. Tomorrow? Yeah, we'll have to play the patch, that's for sure. I'm gonna do like a 12-hour VR stream at some point. I'm trying to get my website for the book up right now. I'm really relying on somebody to pull through for me, who I'm working with. If they're able to do that today or tomorrow, then I'll have an official website that links you to an email list that increases Amazon's view of your bestseller worthiness. It's a whole game with data and all that. If I can get that up, I'll turn it into a potential subathon, and like every person who puts their email on the mail list will increase the time I stream, etc, etc. And then we'll play something like Alien Isolation with the VR headset. I think that's the plan. And then on the 13th, I go back to South Africa. Okay, let's go back. So, tomorrow, yeah, we have to play tomorrow, if that's the case. We absolutely have to play all day. Okay, what's next? So, next is going to be the Mutant. Okay, Mutant. There are many mutants, I see. This is a hybrid. Where am I mutant at? Here it is. Okay. Provision cost changed from 5 to 4. Oh, sorry, no. Armor changed from 2 to 0. I've never seen anybody play this, by the way. Ability changed to when poisoned, spawn a base copy of self on this row. That's going to be so cool, because we're going to be poisoning everything. Just about everything is going to get some poison today. Oh dear gosh, that's awesome. So you're going to have an engine, right? A 3-point engine. As simple as that. You just keep on poisoning. So you poison it every turn with the Blaneham brother. It boosts by 2, spawns another copy. Of course you can't just kill the card. It's going to be pretty easy to do that. But still, not bad. And does it still have Intimidate? I don't think so. I don't think it has Intimidate. wouldn't make sense if it did. Okay, next up, Salamandra Assassin. Alright, so Salamandra Assassin. Haven't seen this card being played either. Armor changed from 1 to 0. Ability change to deploy. Place a bounty on an enemy unit. Order. Poison the enemy unit. Sorry, I'm just taking all this in. We're really gonna have a poison meta, aren't we? Poison meta with Syndicate. You know, it's really gonna be a problem if Nilfgaard decides that spies aren't enough, so they want to have poison as well. So if you have Nilfgaard versus Syndicate, Syndicate's gonna get poisoned into oblivion because you assume that nobody's gonna play poison on your already poisoned cards. But if that's not the case, you're kind of screwed, right? Damn. Okay, this is gonna be very frustrating to play against. People are gonna rage about this. Unless there's a hidden thing that makes this weak, I think this is gonna be probably the next toxic thing we complain about, but I look forward to it, honestly. Yeah, and you give the card a bounty as well, so you just give a bounty to the biggest, fattest card you can find, poison it, and then you just use failed experiment to poison it another time. That's amazing. So next up is Salamandra Lackey, which is going to be, can we guess which one that is? Is it this one? No. Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. Ability change to deploy, purify an allied unit, and gain 2 coins for each status removed. Purify an allied unit and gain 2 coins for each status removed. Okay, so that just allows you to poison more cards, basically. And gain 2 coins for each status remove. Okay, so it's a 4 for 4 with a guaranteed purify, which would get rid of a lock, because I don't think poison's going to be the problem. And you gain 2 coins for each status remove. So let's say you poisoned yourself and an enemy locks you. That's going to be 4 coins. 4 points of a Salamandra Lackey, which is 8 points for 4, as well as the purify that comes along with it. I guess having one of these in your deck wouldn't hurt, just in case. I mean, it never hurts to have a purify. It's not OP, but it's certainly nice to have the option. Nick says, your vids got me back into Gwent. I'm loving the doors. I'm glad to hear that, Nick. Yeah, the doors are fun, right? It's a very fun deck. Is that the Ornate Sensor one? Okay. So now we have Stolen Mutagens. Alright, what's changing here? Ability change to pick a mutagen. Red, damage an enemy by 4. Blue, poison an allied unit and gain 5 coins. Green, boost an allied unit by 4 and give it Veil. If you control at least 2 Salamandra units, choose an additional mutagen. Okay. Okay, so you're going to play this when you have 2 Salamandra units on the board, and you're going to be able to play 2 mutagens. So, for a measly 5 provisions, you can damage an enemy unit by 4. No. We're gonna poison an allied unit and gain 5 coins after boosting an allied unit by 4 and giving it Veil. Easy. So for 5 provisions, we're gonna get 4 points, a guaranteed Veil, and we're going to get 5 coins. So that's gonna play for 9 essentially. That's not bad. 9 for 5? What do you guys think? Is it worth it? I mean, it's still a 5 provision card, right? And it has a condition of 2 Salamandra units. We'll have 2 Salamandra units. 9 for 5. It's worth it. Conditional 9 for 5, very good. I mean, I like the Veil option the most, if I'm going to be honest. And the flexibility of damaging an enemy by 4 is certainly something you can't overlook. I think this is a good option. Also, it gives you another good option with that of the Shady Vendor. So now Shady Vendor, for me, Shady Vendor really had no options at 5 provisions. Like, you only had a chance of getting Eavesdrop or Payday, and then all the others were just horrible. But now you have Stolen Mutagens as well. So it gives you 3 options out of 5 that are actually good. The other 2 will be Purge, which I still don't like, and Confession Extractor, which is rather useless if you're not playing Bounty. But now you're guaranteed to have at least 1 card out of 5 that will be useful. So not bad. Vendor finds it easy now. Yeah, I like it. I quite like it. Alright, awesome, CDPR. That's nice. So, finally we have game fixes. Oberon Invader's Create is now correctly affected by Rune Mage's ability. Okay, I get that. Francesca Finderbear's tooltip now correctly mentions a base copy of the special. Order abilities that move a card to the other side, such as Master of Puppets and Arcane Tome, now affect the controlling player's Hubert rather than the opponent's. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Sahil can now be used to play traps. Oh dear gosh. A non-interactive traps deck made scary. Play a bronze card from your hand. Okay, so it didn't include traps that were bronze. Interesting. Well, who tried to make this deck for CDPR to notice that this was a bug? Somebody is screwing us all over. Royally. Xavier Lemon's ability no longer becomes disabled when failing to select a target while viewing the graveyard. Didn't know that happened. Summoning Circles tooltip has been adjusted to reflect the current ability. Okay. What are the comments stating? Are they happy comments? Cool change. I like these changes. Patch looks good. Yeah? People love the changes? Honestly, well done to CDPR. Like, solidly well done. I'm very impressed. I didn't expect the changes to be this pronounced and meta changing. I guess this also makes for a more entertaining open event in July. That's awesome. Yeah. Good job, CDPR. Good job. You say that now. Well, we have a month to get a broken meta. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, well, damn. So, shall we start and build a deck? I think we have to, right? You've been hit with my 200 salamander. Let's just quickly take a look here.